Is Kenjaku really dead? For starters, he was still talking to Yuta after his head had separated from his body. We already know that Kenjaku differs from other sorcerers in, the way that his consciousness is in his brain alone, given the teeth and everything we have seen, which is why he must have other means of surviving. And let's not forget that this dude was able to utilize multiple curse techniques from his previous host as well. Like anti-gravity was Kaori Itadori's technique. So who really knows what he has up his brain? However, even if you consider he could simply use brain hopping, we have to remember that it's not something he can do, as at the end of the day, all cursed techniques still need cursed energy. So unless he has discovered a way to contain his cursed energy in his brain as well, then Kenjaku actually possessing someone else is a long shot. After all, in chapter 90, Gojo himself stated that his 6 eyes told him that the cursed energy he was reading belonged to that of Geto himself, implying that Kenjaku needed cursed energy from his current host to shift to his new host. In all sense, it seems that Suguro-Geto's body has finally been laid to rest after a whole year, poetically on the same day as he first died. But that doesn't mean Kenjaku is gone. This man had plenty of time over the last 1000 years to be bored, and since he's a mad scientist, we cannot take his death for granted. Like, there is no way such a cautious dude did not think of multiple scenarios coming up, because brain hopping is Kenjaku's innate technique after all. Moreover, he is the one who taught Sukuna how to transfer himself into fingers and survive a millennium as a cursed object. So he understands all this to a molecular level. Speaking of Sukuna, in chapter 221, we also came to know that one of the reasons why Kenjaku and Sukuna, who both seems like lone wolves, were working together was because there was a binding vow in place. A contract between the two most evil parties in the story cannot spell anything good. Kenjaku's bind over him was strong enough for Sukuna to protect him from Gojo after he was unsealed. Sukuna even retreated after Kenjaku suggested it, even though he had sworn the first thing he would have done after awakening was to kill Gojo. There's a high chance that Kenjaku's side of this agreement was regarding the preservation of his own life. Having another vessel on standby in case of an event like this is definitely something Kenjaku would cook up. After all, he not only took over the Kamo clan but also amassed support from the current higher ups of the Jujutsu society. And more importantly, he has yet to see the masterpiece of his efforts in organizing the culling games, merging a huge amount of cursed energy with Tengen to unleash unthinkable chaos upon the world. On top of that, it's very suspicious that he made a rule that the game will end when everyone except Geto Suguru and Megumi Fushiguro is dead. Clearly, he carefully excluded himself and Sukuna from the equation. So even if Geto is dead, Sukuna is still in Megumi's body, which means Kenjaku knows that he won't die this easily. Even the narrator's comment at the end of chapter 243 confirms that Kenjaku has plotted something sinister in the case of his death. What's more frightening is that he foreshadowed this himself. Sure enough, he might have another vessel or another means to live, but his word choice in the last panel is very ominous. He particularly states to Yuta that his will would be inherited, making us go, all the way back to the first chapter of the story. Yuji Itadori, our main boy, started out this difficult journey in the first place because he had inherited the will of his grandfather to help people out with his strength, a burden that he still carries. Since this is what really kicked off the current events, Kenjaku's statement might actually hint that he also has a family member, or rather an offspring who would carry out his own wishes, who is of course Yuji himself. Since Kenjaku went to great lengths, literally getting his back broken by Jin to create Yuji, it would make a lot of sense if he was a piece of contingency plan all along. This is reinforced by Kenjaku's comment to Yuji's high school friends, thanking them for taking care of his son, and even telling Choso that Yuji is the eye of the storm, and as long as he is alive, then curses will always exist. Of course, Yuji must be the cage that was meant to hold the outcome of the merger, the ultimate curse. If you guys want to learn more about this and the greatest secrets behind Yuji and how strong he is, then make sure to watch this video next.